All right, Tony. Year 5, week 1, Gridiron 7-on-7 League is in the books, man. A lot of action. We saw a lot of good players. We saw a lot of good teams, too, as well.
Yeah.
Talk about it a little bit, man.
Yeah, the JV division, man, is always an exciting division, when it comes to 7-on-7, because you got a lot of new faces, guys that are learning the game, guys that are beginners but actually pretty good at the game also.
Yes.
So it's pretty exciting to see those guys, and we saw quite a few of them this past weekend. We can just go ahead and get started. Let's just start off with our division leaders, just to start off with the teams.
All right, Tony, we got the Young Guns and Bearden sitting at 2-0 at the top of the division. We got the Avengers, the Stars, and Goon Squad at 1-1.
Yep.
And we got the Chiefs at 0-2, and we got Knox Stream at 0-2.
Yeah. Young Guns and Bearden got started off fast, 2-0, but normally, that doesn't always mean anything in the first week of the season. But just curious to see, how it pans out. Everybody's got 3 games this weekend, so they'll play pretty much a couple of more teams in the region and see what they got. So when it comes to the stats, let's look at the quarterbacks. Let's see who had the biggest weekend. To start it off, we got Gavin Robinson with the Young Guns, 7 touchdowns. Leading the pack right now. Like you said, ton of athletes.
Ton of athletes, Tony. Big time players on that team. That was a team that I scouted this past weekend.
Yeah.
Tyson Dorsey and those guys. I mean,
Yeah.
They make up a great group, and this kid's going to throw for a lot of touchdowns this season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be fun to watch those guys. We got Braden Black with the Rising Stars, and then we got Jalen Daniels with the Goon Squad sitting at 4 touchdowns. We got Asher Ackard with the Avengers. He's got 3 touchdowns. And then we got Kel Fleming with the Chiefs with 2 touchdowns.
I got a chance, Tony, to see that Jaden Daniels, too. Big kid, big arm,
Yeah.
Goon Squad is reloaded at quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that kid. He can sling. He's been doing well for the past few years.
Tony, let's talk about the go-getters who got off this weekend.
Yeah, the go-getters, in the 12U age group, we really didn't have anybody stand out. We've got, 6 guys tied with 2 touchdowns, but the good thing is we know the ball's getting spread around, and multiple guys are catching it. So sitting at 2 touchdowns this week, we got Mason Lester, Tyler Siegman, Tyler Tummins, Antoine Glover, Stinson with the Goon Squad, and Jason Bourne. All those guys are sitting at 2 touchdowns.
Great name.
And Jason Bourne, right? Exactly. We're going to see who steps up next week. With 3 games, the stats will get a little bit more. Guys will get in a rhythm, and they'll start figuring out who they want to throw the ball to.
In terms of the Ball Hawks, Tony, this past week, who had a good showing. Talk about those guys.
So starting with Davis Krim, Noah Potter, Antoine Hill, they all got two interceptions. Make it tough to kind of pick, player of the week this week. All right, and really in the second part of that group with interceptions, we got Mason Lester, Declan Brickner, Micah Jones, Tyler Tummins, and Noah Vaughn with Owen Vaughn actually with 1 interception. Quarterbacks hadn't made too many mistakes, but defense made some plays.
It's Mason Lester. I want to see this kid. I mean, he's on the board as a receiver and as a defensive back. So.
Yeah, I know. He's a good one.
Tony, let's talk about the guys who will pick up some hardware this week as player of the week.
Yeah, players of the week this week. Of course, quarterback and Gavin Robeson, Young Guns. 7 touchdowns. He's gunslinger of the week for sure. When the other go-getter of the week and ball hawk of the week, with some ties and all that stuff, just from seeing the kids. Tyler Tummins, receiver for Bearden. They're 2-0 right now. He had quite a few catches, including those 2 touchdowns. And Davis Krim from the Avengers. They didn't have a whole lot of offense, but he was out there making plays on defense. So we're going to give Davis Krim the ball hawk player of the week with 2 interceptions.
All right, Tony, let's talk about our varsity division, formerly our 15U.
Yeah, varsity division's always exciting. This year, got some big-time quarterbacks in the league this year, I think. And, so it's exciting watching those guys grow and learn.
Want to get right into the standings?
Yeah, when it gets to the standings.
We got Code Blue and Team Up Gray sitting at 2-0. We got the Crushers, the Stars, sitting at 1-1. We got the Cougars and Bearden at 0-2. And we got Seymour. They haven't played a game yet in the league.
Yeah, Seymour starts this weekend with their guys. Code Blue, Team Up Gray, kind of expect those 2 guys, 2 teams to be pretty good, so they got a fast start. Crushers has a good team, Rising Stars has got talent. The Cougars are always pretty good at 7-on-7, got a good young quarterback.
Code Blue stepping back into the league, 2-0.
Yeah, if they're going to start, get in the league, you might as well start off fast, right? Bearden 0-2, but quarterbacks, I mean, when you look at the touchdowns thrown, they got 2 quarterbacks for that team that are really good. So, I think they'll get going. And then Seymour, of course, they've actually got a good young quarterback I'm excited to see throw this weekend, too.
Let's talk about the gunslingers who looked good this past weekend.
Yeah, sitting on top of the list, kid from Norris, Code Blue, Blaine Stansberry, 7 touchdowns, got off pretty fast, had 2 receivers with 3 touchdowns each. So, he's got 2 targets he's looking at. Cruz Cunningham, another kid. When you see the last name, you
You
think,
think about his brother that plays over at MTSU.
yeah, he is at MTSU right
Right.
now. Actually,
Mhm.
yeah, he's actually doing well. Played at Catholic, so he's representing the name well. He had 5 touchdowns this past week with Team Up Gray. Madden McNeil, he's a veteran in the league. He's got 3 touchdowns this week with the Stars. Then you got Kai Beasley and Elias Childers, both quarterbacking the Crushers. Both those guys sitting with 2 touchdowns, and then Brody Sparks, another kid. I think he was Player of the Year or one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks last year. So he's got 2 touchdowns, and then Bearden with the new team, Jack Harrison, he had 2 touchdowns. So exciting to watch those young guys learn and make mistakes and make plays and get hyped up. A few of those guys showed a little excitement throughout the day. So hopefully we'll have a big weekend from those guys this weekend.
All right, Tony, let's talk about our receivers, our go-getters of the week, the guys who really showed out this past weekend.
Yeah, we don't have a big long list here. Quite a few guys got 1 touchdown, so I just wanted to stick with the top 3, 4 guys that we had this week. But, sitting on top of the list, looks like he's going to be sitting on top of a couple lists as this thing goes over the year. But we got Jordan Hayes with the Crushers.
Baller.
Yeah, absolutely, man. He got 4 touchdowns. Kai Beasley and Elias are looking at that guy. They're getting the ball out to him. Tied for second this week, Code Blue. Blaine Stansbury threw 7 touchdowns, 3 and 3 to Wiley Wolfenbarger and Evan Pyatt. 2 good targets. I saw in the highlights those guys. It wasn't just wide open catches. It's good catches and good hands and routes and all that good stuff. So those guys are doing a great job. And then we got Caleb Harris with Team Up Gray, had 2 touchdowns. That kind of rounds out our receivers of the week this week. So.
Let's talk about the top ball hawks this past week, Tony.
Yeah, like we said, Jordan Hayes. Sitting at the top of the list. Didn't have a whole lot of interceptions in the 15U this week. So, I think we had, 2, 4, 6 interceptions total. Jordan Hayes had 2 with the Crushers, and sitting right with him from the Crushers is Abel Ancelet. He had 1 interception. We got Nick Chittum, Elijah Johnson, and Kenneth Simon, all with 1 interception.
I expect that to pick up, in the coming weeks,
Yeah, I hope not. I'm pulling for a quarterback guy, Hopefully those numbers stay down and the touchdowns rise. But you know how it is with the pass every play. Those defensive guys are just going to start figuring it out.
All right, Tony, let's talk about the guys who stood out this past week and will be taking home some hardware.
Yeah, absolutely. Starting with the quarterback, Blaine Stansbury, Code Blue, 7 touchdowns, 2-0. Gunslinger of the week 1.
Jordan Hayes.
Yeah, Jordan Hayes.
Go-getter of the week 1, and ball hawk of the week 1.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
4 touchdowns.
Yeah, we always do this thing. It's stat-driven. And, Jordan Hayes has had a big week, led it in touchdowns, receiving, and interceptions. So, congratulations, man.
All right, Tony, let's talk about our high school division. That's always exciting to me, seeing the guys that, I actually get to see on Friday nights playing in the Gridiron 707 League.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Just like last year, we broke this thing into 2 divisions. We've got the Gunslinger division, the Gridiron division. Got 6 teams in each division. And the way we're looking at it right now, the standings kind of rounded each other out. So, let's go ahead and get into it.
All right, man, in the Gunslinger division, you got the Cougars and Grace sitting at 2-0. Mm-hmm. Tony, I was really surprised with that Grace squad. They got some guys, and their quarterback looks like he's the real deal.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Grace had the coach that threw the ball all over the place. Can't even think of his name off the top of my head. Rusty. Yeah, Coach Rusty. And, so those guys have been fine-tuned for this passing game for the past few years, so it'll be exciting to see how they play.
We got CAK and 1776 sitting at 1-1.
Yep.
And we got Betsy-Bill at 0-2. That's surprising.
Yeah.
And
the Hurricanes.
Hurricanes sitting at 0-2 as well.
Yeah. Curious to see how this works out. Like we said earlier, week 1 standings, a couple teams play each other. But after this week, we'll kind of see who's who when it comes down to it.
In the Gridiron division, we got Team Up Black sitting at 2-0 and the Crushers sitting at 2-0.
Yeah.
Carnes 1-1.
Mm-hmm.
It was good to see those guys out there too as well, man. Even with their big time running back, catching passes.
My video guy, my guy Rowdy, he came over after the season was after the day was over and whatnot. And he came over and he said, I was excited to watch Carnes play, and he said first play to Bishop, and I was like, they didn't hand it to him, right? He said, no, they threw a bomb. And Bishop went and got it. He was actually surprised. He said he didn't think he was going to get it. So Bishop's one of those guys. He's got a ton of talent.
Yeah, a ton of athlete. He's a lineup back, wide receiver. You know what he can do, run the football.
Yeah.
We got the veterans and Seymour sitting at 0-2, and we expect the Dragons to participate in our league at some point.
Yeah, they'll be in next weekend. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Tony, let's talk about the high school guys who stood out this past weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with the Gunslingers. When it comes to the top quarterbacks this week, Briggs Cherry, Team Up Black, 6 touchdowns. Landon Hisley with the Cougars, 6 touchdowns. Isaiah Hall and Hunter White both had 5 touchdowns each. We had Weston Edmondson from Grace. I think that's one of the quarterbacks we was talking about earlier. He had 4 touchdowns. Kai Beasley with the Crushers had 4 touchdowns. And then Gip Maupin and Kason Huffaker finished it with 3 touchdowns. Not bad, quite a few touchdowns thrown. I think some of those top names are the guys we know and kind of expect to be there. Some of those other guys I look forward to seeing, like I said, this week, get the rest of the games in and kind of see where they stand at it. But, Briggs Cherry and Landon Hensley, sitting at the top with 6 touchdowns this weekend.
Let's talk about the guys who were showing it on the field, Tony, as go-getters this past week.
Yeah, when it comes to the go-getters of the week, we got 2 guys sitting at the top of the list. We got Gavin Newman from the team veterans, and then we also got Pierce Browning from Grace. Gavin Newman had 4 touchdowns. Browning had 3.
Seen some of Browning's touchdowns. That kid is a monster, man. He's
really?
A player. He's small, but he's a player.
Okay, good deal. I hadn't paid attention to him yet, so I'll be looking for him for sure. Then we got a list of guys with 2 touchdowns. So you guys looking at the screen, got those stats up. Check those guys out. Next week, just see how it goes. See who ends up pushing their way back up to the top.
In terms of the ball hawks, Tony, who were some of the guys who stood out at playing defense?
To be honest, we're talking about interceptions thrown last in the varsity division. Talking about the high school division, we really didn't have that many interceptions. We had one guy sitting at the top of the list, I think from Team Up Black, Hal Niendorf had 2 interceptions, and then we had a handful of guys that had 1. But Hal sitting there with 2. Like I said, that's always a good thing for me, on my end of things whenever we don't have a whole lot of interceptions that week.
Tony, let's talk about the 3 guys who will be picking up awards in the high school division this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about quarterbacks, we just said their names earlier. Briggs Cherry and Landon Hensley both ended up with 6 touchdowns. Being stat driven, it's kind of hard to decide on these, so I just went back in the games and went through the stats. And offensively, they both threw 6 touchdowns. I think Briggs had 4 or 5 2-point conversions. Landon had like 1 or 2. Defense played really well for the Cougars. So, in this one, we got to give it to Briggs Cherry with 6 touchdowns, Team Up Black.
In terms of our go-getter, Tony, who are we looking at?
Gavin Newman, sitting there with 4 touchdowns in week 1, playing for the veterans, so he's our go-getter of the week.
Who's our ball hawk of the week, Tony?
Got to give it to Hal Niendorf.
2 interceptions.
Yeah, 2 interceptions, Team Up Black. Got a couple guys up there from Team Up Black this week. Looking forward to those guys competing. Got the schedule ready. Posted that today. Looking forward to week 2.
Week 2 ought to be really good, Tony. Week 1 was outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think everybody got a taste of it, and the guys that came back are just excited to be back in it and kind of playing and doing that thing. Week 2 is always one of those things to kind of see how those guys, because, these guys are kind of serious about this.
Yeah.
Guys have been practicing since October. 3-4 years ago, guys are just seeing their teams, a week ago,
Right.
week 1. And so, these guys are getting into it, coaches are getting into it, players are getting into it. So, I look for, some of these guys to transition, turn the game around a little bit, and, kind of catch up with the pack.
Another big week of action.
Yeah, absolutely. Catch us out at Bearden.